Good morning, it's Susan at Seaside Stitches, and thank you for coming back and seeing me if you've seen me before, and if you're new here, it's lovely to meet with you. I've had a really lovely week in what I'm now calling my sewing workshop, and I've had it just all strewn about with lots of things, and I've had lots of projects on. It's a bit of a different video. I'm not doing kind of like, oh, and I've made this and I've made this, and I will pop some pictures in because I don't want to be bouncing up and down. I just want to kind of give you an overview of what's been going on in my sewing life, if you like. And I've got my table strewn with all sorts of different things, which I'll pop a picture in that I've just taken on my iPad to show you what I mean, really. I don't want to be moving the camera about, and anyway, so I'll pick some things up. So one of the first things I did this summer was work out about a wedding that I was going to, and I mentioned that I did have another fabric that I did show. Well, actually it's this fabric here that I did have in the background as a possible for going to a wedding in, and this I've made up. I'm going to do a video about my makes, so I'll just go in briefly about what this is. This is, and I've put things in order that are now not in order. This is the Sinclair Patterns Jasmine dress, and I've got a few Sinclair dress patterns now because I'm long in the body and I like their Harper cardigan. It's my staple make, and I thought that being a free pattern, I would now go on to getting some of their patterns and seeing if I can manage to make them up without having to do a low bust adjustment. So that's what this is, and this has been really quite an enjoyable sew. I've had to change lots of things about it for sizing in a different way. I kind of cut out the wrong size, or I was being too cautious about it, so I'm not going to go into that just now, but I'm just mentioning that I decided to put on a different skirt than that comes with the pattern, and I've decided I wanted to put some frills on it. So yesterday I went a bit frill crazy, ruffle, whatever you want to call it. So this is my project for later on today, when I try to decide whether I'm chopping a bit more off this and adding this frill, or how I'm going to do it. And before I did that, I had a lovely little practice on some spare fabric, because this is it's quite light French terry, but it is French terry, and I didn't know how well it would gather, so I did an experiment. And I think that's really what I'm talking about to you in this video. I've done lots of little experiments and really enjoyed myself just playing around at kind of almost doing nothing, but achieving a great deal, because to be able to have found out whether that will gather enough has been really useful, yeah, and quite enjoyable. And I have a ruffler foot, and I did try that yesterday with it, but it is a little bit thick to do it, and I ended up breaking a needle, so I just did the usual gathering stitches. So I'm not going into how and why, but that's one of my little experiments, and just the joy of coming up and sorting things out. I went through a lot of scraps, and I discovered that I have some gingham scraps, and I'm going to use these to practice shearing, because I've been watching quite a few videos on people shearing, and I would like to have a shirring, not sheep shearing, it's shirring. I would like to have a practice. Years ago I did buy some fabric that was shirred at the top, and just made it into just sewed it up the back, and it was a dress already. It was kind of and just put a couple of shoestring straps on it. But I am very sensitive to things being tight on my skin and seams and things, so I don't know how I will do with it against my skin. I don't want to go through ruching up, shirring up a load of fabric and wasting it because I'm not going to be able to tolerate it. So I thought I'd have some practices on this, and then get some of my scraps and make a kind of mock bodice and see how that is. So that's an experiment too. And also for since before Christmas I made some Buy Annie bags, and I still haven't finished the one that I started in January that I put out as a video, part 1, 2, 3 and 4. I did part 1, part 2, part 3, but I still haven't finally got the back, the second stitching of the binding finished. So that's what I'm kind of looking at. What are my whips? What are my unfinished objects? What can I be finishing? But without that pressure of, oh, I've got to get all these done. So that's kind of what I'm going through now with you. But I made an open wide cosmetic bag, toiletries bag, and I really liked it. My daughter-in-law liked it, so I gave it to her for a present, and I'd made a smaller one that went with it, and I gave her that one. I gave there's 3 sizes, and the smallest one was really fiddly. But anyway, I gave that to my great niece, and meant that I hadn't got one. So what I decided to do is have a really lovely dress in this fabric, but I only had, when I went through all my scraps, I'd got some dressmaking scraps too, and they're not enough to make anything with, and they were all odd shapes and everything. So I've just cut them up. I have cut them up, and I decided to attach it to some, it's not Soft and Stable, and I can't think what it's called, but anyway, I'll put a thing in at the bottom. It's the fusible foam. Yeah, not fusible fleece, Bosal. It's Bosal fusible foam, and I didn't realise, but it is the one that's adherent on both sides. So I've cut that out. That'll turn into the body, because it's a really big one, this. But this is not the full size. You quilt it and then trim it down, but it kind of ends up like that. But it's not that big. But you need 3 fabrics, so I matched that. I found this that matches that, and I did have this black and white stripes. So I've just been just enjoying myself, experimenting and trialing things. And on the Buy Annie website, she talks about auditioning your colours, auditioning your zips. I didn't want a white one, I don't know why that's on. And there is a little bit of mint green, but it's so small, that mint green, you would just think I've done it the wrong shade. So I'm going to go with that one. And the fold over elastic and the white mesh. But none of that is really, I'm not going to be coming back and going, oh, I've done it now, or I haven't done it, or weeping in my handkerchief if it doesn't get done. But we're going away very shortly, and I would really like to take a nice cosmetic bag with me. No one will see it, we're just going in a static caravan, but I will know that I've made it for myself and got the pleasure of doing that. So that's one thing that I'm planning to do. At the moment, what I'm wearing is just a kind of mash-up of things really, but it's basically this jumper dress, which is Simplicity 4789, and it's just a multi kind of pattern of all sorts of things. But I really like this dress. I used this sleeve from the flounce one that I use, but I added 3 inches, and I should have took it back because I was going to put elastic round, but I should have took it off again because I put the cuff on. So it's just a little bit, it's a bit puffed at the cuffs, but I love this dress. I made this last year. So I'll just quickly go through what I've done up here. So that was my Yasmin dress. This is a Simplicity thing that I mentioned that I made for Sew Joey to 2021 but didn't finish it. All it needs are these ends knotting, and this is wearable, but that it will be knotted and it will be going on holiday with me. So that's that. Whoops. This is a mock-up, mash-up, whatever you want, of, I only had 1/2 metre of this pink, and I'd got this left over from a cardigan that I made, a shawl cardigan, and a dress that was this pattern, that I used that pattern for. Okay, I'm just testing. I don't know how much you can see. Don't know if you can see the length of it, but it's really lovely. I love the swing of it. It's got a really good swish. Still got the cuffs to do, and got my mask to mask. Face covering to match. Keep fiddling about with this. It's not quite right. Yes. It's lovely. A lovely dress. It's French terry, and I'm really pleased with it. And now the neighbours are out looking at, what the hell's that woman doing? And I'd really just enjoyed messing about with this, and this was also for 2021. But then since I have done the Davenport dress, and I used the frill, the what do you call it? Anyway, it's a frill, but I used the frill from the Davenport dress just to tie it all in again a bit. So that looks a bit weird, but it's quite nice on, and it's a comfy top to be sewing in. And this is my next make that I'm on with. That is the Friday Pattern Company Westcliff dress. Now I've been enjoying doing this as well. I've only started this over the last couple of days. I bought this fabric, and unfortunately I put it straight in the wash, and when I got it out, I turned it on the inside with the inside out to dry it on the airer, and I noticed little I thought there were black specks on it, but they were kind of bigger than pin pricks in it. You could see the light through them, and there was the potential that they may ladder, because it's a knit fabric. Well, it's another French terry. Anyway, when I counted them, there were 6, but they were just dotted through it, the 2.5 meters that I'd got. And I was really disappointed because I hadn't checked it first, and I felt like, well, I don't know how this has happened. Is it a fault, or was it something I did did the washing machine do it? I don't know. So you're left with, anyway, let's not go into that. So it doesn't matter, but I've had to, what I did was I stuck little bits of interfacing on the back, on the holes on the inside, so that I could make sure that I knew where they were, and then put a dot. I can't show you on this one. So they look like they've got little, they've shaved themselves, and they've put a piece of paper tissue on to stop the bleeding. But I identified where they were, and so that I didn't. So I've managed to avoid them so far, and I've just got the skirt to cut out, so that's fine. And this is, again, I need to talk about that properly, but I did the wrong size because I wanted to be sure that I didn't know how stretchy this was. It didn't appear to be very stretchy, so I thought I sized up a bit too much, and it turns out it is really quite stretchy, and that goes across there. So there is going to be part of a video about that as well. So I've been busy, but I've not been I've got to finish that, and I've got to finish that. And it's risky when you start another thing and then another thing, because you just might end up with nothing. But it hasn't felt like that. It's that, okay, I've done some of that now, let's do something different. And I had one day where I just played. I went through all my scraps, I sorted them again into colours. Well, they were in like 2.5-inch strips, or just little tiny crumb pieces, or 4-inch strips. Not many, but all my cottons, I'm talking about my kind of quilting cottons. But I got them all into different colours, and looked at just keeping them separate for different projects. And I just enjoy just crumb piecing, really. So that's just one that I'd already done. It kind of means nothing, doesn't have to be anything, may turn into a bag, it may turn into nothing, it doesn't matter. I just love just kind of, that's something I'd already done. This is one that I started 2 years ago, I think, that I just watched a crumb quilting video, and I just do a little bit of it now and again, just kind of, you could just do half an hour of, oh, what shall I do? Well, I've got half an hour up here. I cut a few, and I join some up, and I like it, and then I don't like it, and then I don't kind of chop it away again, but they're just bits and pieces, and they make me smile. The actual colour of it brightens my day. So if I've got bright pieces, the purple, red and yellow are from what I use for the drum skirts that I make for the band. So just dotting them about with bits and pieces of things that the children I've made for the children. So it can be just a scrappy little bag for them or something. Doesn't really matter what it is. It just becomes something that grows. And I might like make a 6-inch piece. Then I might not touch it for 6 months. It doesn't matter. It's not going anywhere. It's not waiting. No one's waiting for it. And these were just some scraps that I'd got left over off some fat quarters that I made some bags with, or something that I made. But they're just kind of time taken in being with myself, really. It's just a kind of meditative. I find it quite meditative. And I wasn't going to jump up and down, but now I'm going to get up. Because, oops, I also made this bag. So I remembered I'd got some, I went through and I found I've got some little squares, little blocks. And I know there were 4 odd ones that weren't quite the right size or whatever. So I decided I would just centre one, kind of, use it as a centerpiece kind of thing, and then just build round it. And that's all I've done. And I've just done that with some fusible fleece. And then I haven't sewn the lining yet inside. I haven't just sewn it up at the bottom. But it would fit in my drumsticks, just for carrying from the car to the hall where we practice, and all the bits and pieces that we take, my gloves and stuff like that. But also, we're looking at raising money for the band, so I'm just practicing on some things that I could do for adding to a raffle or something like that. But it's quite cheery fabric, and there's just that sense of a bit of accomplishment, because you just feel okay about doing it. And yeah, like I say, it's not quite finished, but it's not about finishing. This month has not been about starting and finishing. It's been about developing things and trying things out. And my biggest success, which isn't here at the moment, but I will pop some pictures in, I've made a Bondi t-shirt. It's a Bondi 22, again from Sinclair Pattern. A very, very easy t-shirt. And there's also, you can buy the Bondi sleeve pack where you get, I won't go into it, but you get different sleeves that you can add to it. But this comes with several just variations on the sleeve, on a straight sleeve, whatever. You can have a short sleeve, a sport sleeve, a mid-length sleeve, a three-quarter sleeve, a bracelet sleeve, whatever you want, just on the actual pattern. But I put on my first neckband, and my first neckband was a huge success, and I'm really pleased with it, and I will pop in a picture. I really enjoyed doing that, but the fabric is fabulous. It makes my heart sing. It's wonderful. It's the wackiest fabric that I must have bought about, I don't know, 8 years ago, maybe longer. And it was just a metre of fabric. And in the shop they went, what are you going to make with it? Because it's really bright and vibrant and I said, I've absolutely no idea. And it moved house with me. And I've wondered what to do with it, because it was very sometimes some jersey fabrics, I find them cold on me, and I don't like that feeling, and I've been wondering whether that would be like that. I've got my handbag over my arm, but it wasn't like that, and it's just gone together a dream. It's really nice. They're quite long, the Bondi. You can have it however you want, wherever you want to put the hem, obviously, but you can. I've got a purple skirt that I got from a charity shop, and it's the purple from our band, so it's that purple. So it looks really lovely with it either tucked in or over or pulled out. So it's just really cheery, so that is going on holiday with me. And I wore it yesterday, so I've not brought it upstairs. But as I say, you'll see a picture with me wearing it. So I should just put this back. And obviously that was what I made for the wedding. That is in the other video about the over-the-top wedding outfit. And in the meantime, I'd also ordered, I ordered the pattern for the Friday Pattern Company Westcliff dress from Jenny Stitches, and she's really good. It comes really, really quickly. And I'd watched one of her videos, and she had some t-shirt fabric in bright colours, and so when I sent for the pattern to be printed, AO printed, I also ordered some of this t-shirt fabric, and she said it's really good quality, and it is. It's quite spandex. It's got quite a bit of spandex in it, and they're beautiful colours, and I don't know if you can see, but they go really well with this. In fact, I did even consider putting the band on in this colour, but if there hadn't have been enough stretch in this, that is what I would have done. So again, I just feel like my mind has been open, but open rather than worrying. I don't know if you get, when your mind is active, it can, for me, it's like, oh, well, it draws up all the things that I need to do, or I should have done, or nothing to do with sewing or anything. But it's just felt lovely to be able to come up here and do things. Because it's summer holidays, we're quite a long way from our grandchildren. They're in the process of moving. Our son and daughter-in-law are really busy at the moment. They can't bring the children up. We couldn't go down because the house is in a mess. Everything's, you know, lots of things are put away. So rather than kind of sit here and wondering what to do and mope about not being able to see the grandchildren, I thought I will make life a bit brighter for myself. And this is very bright. And the other thing hanging up is this, that was also started April 21. And this is the McCall's 6750. Now, the thing that is missing from this, obviously, are the sleeves. Everything else is finished, but the buttonholes. And since I started sewing again from lockdown, I've only put some buttonholes in the tops of some dungarees that I made for a teddy bear. Now, I had a few practices, and I did them on my old machine, and I ended up being quite happy with. Oh no, I made them for 2 pairs of dungarees for 2 teddies. So I've done at least 4 buttonholes that I was happy with, but I need to have a go on my new machine, which I got in August 2021. I have never sewn a buttonhole yet. So that's all. This is waiting for me to move on from practicing neck bands to doing buttonholes. So I'm looking forward to that. So I know that this is quite a mad kind of video, but that's kind of where I am at the moment. I'm quite joyful about being able to sew. We moved our bedroom downstairs into what had been our dining room come my sewing room and our spare room, and so I've had to reconfigure everything for. We've come up to the room. It's about the same size, but it's a different layout. So yes, it doesn't really matter, does it? It's not important, but it just means I feel like I'm owning this space now. We've still got the sofa bed, so everything can go away, and if we're going to have visitors, we can make that happen. That's okay. So I think just for now, I'm going to leave that there, unless I just think of something else. Oh, the other thing, just piecing some leftovers that when I did the blocks, when I made the blocks from that fabric, I had some pieces over, so I decided to sew them together and have a roll for borders, for if I was going to make it into a quilt or whatever. And there was one set of borders that was a little bit shorter, narrower than the others. So with that I decided I would put that on some bozo, and I'm going to possibly making a couple of pencil cases or something, or they will be bottoms for bags. So I just feel like it's really been a lively month in terms of what I've managed to get my head to think around. So I'm just realising my shoulders are up here. Oh, there is one other thing. So this was also started for the So Joey t-shirt for summer 2021, because you could do a t-shirt dress. Does that make sense? Yes. And this was my second go at making a neckband, which was less successful. No, actually it was quite successful at first, but then I thought it's not quite as I'd like it. So I took it off and I redid it, but I've overstretched it now. So this is coming off again, but that's not a problem. But I haven't been able to finish this to wear because it was too wide at the neck. I've done a version of this. This was a version of this, but I'd done a bigger size than I needed, and it was too wide at the neck, because this is really meant to be over a jumper, a sweater, a top, a blouse or something, because it's a pinafore. It's listed as a jumper, which may be a US thing, but for us it's a pinafore, and so it was quite wide there. So I was like, should I try it? Because I had to do the measuring and the assessment of how much and what percent, but it's not a massively stretchy fabric, so I didn't know how much to do, and I tried it at 90%, I tried it as 80%, I tried it at 90%, and then when I repressed it, it's gone a bit baggy, so I'm going to take that off. That's not an issue. And I also it would have had a sleeve with a cuff. I have the cuff cut out, but I decided I wanted to take the I tried it with an elastic cuff, and then I decided after doing the Davenport dress I would do that sleeve again, the one with the little ruffle like is on here. Don't know if you can see that, but it's the ruffle one. Right, so that's that. So again, it's just a really easy flowy dress to put on while I'm sewing. Can't remember, did it? Oh, I've also hemmed it, so it's ready. It just needs the hem on the cuff, and I am going to take that off just because I want to show that I can do it properly. And I think that's me done. So I really appreciate you watching my videos. I know I'm a 69-year-old woman who's just got back into sewing, and I blabber on a bit, and sometimes I'm kind of but thank you for watching. I'm so happy that I've got someone to share this stuff with. So thank you. If you do like the video, please give it a thumbs up. It does help. I love having comments, so if there's anything you'd like to comment on, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. See you again soon. Bye.